Welcome back to the Castaway Consultants, where we teach future Survivor players how to play the game by criticizing current players. Today, we are looking at Survivor 44, Episode 11, I'm Not Worthy.
It's true, you're not.
It's true. I am one of your co-hosts, Josh Wessler, joined today in person by Mr. Ryan Stacy and Mr. Derek Kubicek.
Yo, yo, yo.
What up?
Yeah, we're all in person today. That's nice.
I enjoyed it. We all watched the episode together.
Oh, wait, no. Derek didn't.
No, yeah. My wife has a disease, and so I had to stay home with the child. I left afterward. So I had to watch at home while watching my kid, and then immediately hustle and bustle on over to Ryan's immediately after. So that means that if there is groupthink that typically goes on, there will be possibly less groupthink between me and Ryan.
Yeah, it'll
tonight.
be different groupthink. It'll be me and Josh versus Derek.
Hooray for different groupthink.
Hooray!
Yeah, typically I'm isolated in my thoughts away from you guys, so it'll be nice to see if anything comes up here during the episode.
Yeah, we'll see.
Just remember, I'm always right.
Eventually.
Uh-huh, yeah.
After you change your mind.
Maybe.
Hmm.
So, I'm Not Worthy was the episode, the other really fun episode. We've had like 4 really good ones in a row. Because there's been like no advantages.
The season is finishing strong, and I have a good sense that we're going to have great, at the very least, entertaining, if not optimal, whatever gameplay through the end of the season. Because we've got one idol left in the game.
Yep.
Fantastic, beautiful. This is like classic mid-era Survivor with what's left. I love it.
And I don't think last season did we really get any new advantages at
The
end?
most, I think the last one was at the final 7 during this challenge. Cody got the thing, the choose your champion advantage. He got to pick who he thought would win immunity. And if that person won immunity, he would also get immunity.
That's right.
He picked Owen. Owen and Carla won because they broke the challenge. That was the hold your breath, or not hold your breath, but stand to the water challenge. And Cody also got immunity. So 3 of the final 7 people were immune, and there were 3 idols in the game. It was wild. But none of that happened tonight. Much more straightforward. And you know what? I dig it.
Me too.
I was entertained.
Now, as for the gameplay, not optimal. Big nope on the optimal. So we'll have things to talk about tonight.
Oh yeah, there's definitely things to talk about.
So spoiler alert for the episode. 3, 2, 1. Cool. Anything else before we jump into this thing?
No.
Don't think so.
Okay. All right. Episode 11. So, as we predicted, Wayne the tribe gets back to camp. Carolyn is pissed. And it was really funny because, Jam and Carson lied to her. And yet Jam was like, you lied to me. And she's like, yeah, but it was just once. And he's like, this is just once. I got over it. Get over it. And she's like, it just happened. Okay, that's a fair point. It just happened. But, like, I do very much enjoy Jam's logic here. Like, you did this to me.
And while he is saying things that make sense, you have to also know who you're dealing with.
Yeah.
Like, watch the things that you say. Maybe even wait until the next morning to kind of be a little bit more blunt with it by saying, get over it.
Now, the question I have, because you're right. However, this is Carolyn.
Mm-hmm.
We can't exactly apply normal Survivor rules to Carolyn. And that's the thing, a lot of times Survivor will cast a ticking time bomb in the season. You can't always approach them the way you normally would. You kind of have to diffuse them like a bomb. Maybe Jam knows Carolyn well enough that he knows the right way to do it because it is going to work for him. Whatever he and Carson do works because Carolyn is going to get back on the same page as them the next day.
I feel uniquely qualified to talk about this because
your wife is just like Carolyn.
I'm not going to say just like Carolyn, but I think when you are in a long-term relationship with someone and you spend pretty much every waking moment with them when, you're at home and you have 2 very different communication styles. And this is as much an indictment on me as it is on anyone else. I'm someone who likes to reason things out. I want to talk it out right away. Ryan, you're the same way. Even more so.
Yeah, I think even more so.
Irritatingly sometimes because I'm like, hey, we can talk about this in like an hour. But you're like, no, right now, right this second. That's me.
That has happened.
Yes, that has happened.
Derek will ignore me for like an hour or 2, and it will drive me insane.
Right. So, like, if my wife and I, we have a small disagreement about something, she is someone who needs to, like, have some space for a couple hours. And early on in the relationship, it was like, I'm getting no closure, so I'm kind of gravitating toward her, but she's kind of the polar opposite magnet, and it gets pushed away. Carolyn is operating off of her emotions kind of like that. I think genuinely Jam Jam did this right. He's like, I'm going to talk to you about this tomorrow, but I wanted to at least let you know now that I am still with you. I am still on your side, Carolyn. So all you do, offer some quick reassurance and then give her some space to breathe. If you know that that's how they're going to work, you just have to understand that there are people out there with that differing communication style, and I've had to learn to cope with it, and I think that I would be uniquely situated to work with Carolyn on this. And this might also be a reason that the Castaway Consultants were split on this particular issue last week, where I said, Carolyn will get over this, and there were other people on the podcast saying, oh no, this is gonna sow some discord, and this is gonna be bad for Tika, and I'm like, for 5 minutes. So I'm just gonna say I was right. They were partially right because it was bad in the beginning, as was shown in the next time on Survivor. So congratulations, you know how to watch TV. But I was right.
I know how to interpret an edit.
Oh, yeah, okay. So all I wanted to say was I was right, you guys were wrong, and pish posh applesauce, haha.
I mean, congrats, I guess.
Was that hard to say? I see a knot in your tongue. How you doing?
Well, you know what, Derek, I appreciate your point of view on that one. I do think you're right. Like that is an interesting and I think accurate take.
Yeah, thank you. I do appreciate that.
Yes.
I will disagree, though. I think that Carson handled it better than Jam Jam.
I think they both handled it as well as they could have. Because you got to remember, Carson lingered. Derek is the lingerer in Derek's relationship. It's not,
and you're still married.
It's not good to do that. You have to respect their communication style. Well, they have to respect yours as well. And there is a middle ground here.
I think Carson handled it well for someone other than Carolyn. I think Jam Jam might have handled it better with specifically Carolyn, which is what Survivor is all about, that specific person. Yep. You know, we talk about general theories and then how to tailor make them to the situation you need. That's the big thing. So we'll get you partway there and throw you out different possibilities, the type of people you will come across and how to better handle it. But again, you're going to have to play by ear when you're out there on the island.
And we have to trust you. You have to trust yourself to know the people around you. And if you don't know them well enough, guess what? You're not getting their jury vote anyway.
And if you're wrong, learn something from it.
Yep.
That's all you can do.
Play again.
Play again. Come back, play again. Be a unique character in the confessionals. Come back, play again. Learn something, win. Boom. Danny does not know who voted for him because there's one vote on him, Heidi. Heidi thought Danny was going, and she was left out of the vote, it turns out. Heidi, what are you doing?
This was some Lex and T-Bird level stuff. Yeah. I loved it.
This was great. This is very old school. I was a big fan of this. She's like, oh, maybe it was Franny. But Danny's like, that doesn't make any sense.
I know it's easier for us since we know what's going on, but it really just seemed like Heidi's not a great liar.
That's
like every single time that she essentially tried to deflect off of anything that Danny or someone else said, like it just seems so obvious to me. But maybe that's just because I'm not there.
We have the edit on our side.
We know we're omnipotent for the most part with the edit we're shown.
But we've also established that Danny's not very good at this part of the game of Survivor. So he's like, this doesn't make sense. So therefore it's not true. And he just decided. Now, I love the conviction.
Yes.
But I also kind of hate the conviction for him.
Yeah, Danny, you got to know who you're playing with. Some of these people don't make sense.
Terrible season to be logical on.
But I do love that Heidi just doubles and triples down. She never comes clean. To the point where Danny eventually believes her.
Jam Jam definitely put my name down. Yeah, you know what? Good on Heidi.
Because Jam Jam is going to tell Danny that it was Heidi. Heidi's going to be like, no, it wasn't me. And Danny's like, oh, it's probably Jam Jam then. And that's it.
She didn't have to say anything else.
Carolyn does decide to get back with Tika, Carson, and Jam Jam. Get over the Franny vote. So, yeah, Tika's back together. The Three Stooges.
The strongest of the remaining tribes.
So, Danny, Lauren, Jamie, and Heidi, they all have a conversation about taking a Tika member out. There's 3 of them. They're a tight group. Jam Jam is the biggest jury threat, it seems like. So they want Jam Jam out next. Great. Awesome. Perfect logic.
This is, spoiler, I imagine we all agree, the optimal strategy for the rest of this episode. Yep. I didn't watch with them, but it seems pretty obvious to me.
And this is really the theme of the episode, is the Tika 3. Not only from like, oh, we need to take someone out from the Tika 3, but also the Tika 3 essentially saying over and over again, hey, we're going to the final 3 together.
Yep.
All we have to do is get through this vote. And that's essentially what the entire episode is.
Is that going to be the final 3? And the question is, which of the Tika people win? Based on edit, yes. There's no one left. There's no one left.
I think one thing we learned from based on edit, I was gonna say, but if you get a Tika 3 in the finals, based on this episode, it almost sounds like Jam Jam might pull it off.
Yeah.
I mean, it's definitely Jam Jam or Carson over Carolyn, unfortunately, because I love Carolyn, but it seems like Jam Jam might have it.
Yep, that's what it seems like to me. I think I'd put him at the top of the pecking order at this point. He's going to win immunity, so he's safe. It's the you're under a cage, bars, and the tide rises. It's a great challenge, and Jam Jam wins it. It's wonderful. It's really fun win.
Yeah, what's the actual name of this challenge again? It's not Rising Tide. It's Last Breath. Is that what it's called?
Yeah, last gasp. Last gasp.
Yeah.
So new plan. Take out Carson instead. Next biggest threat.
Solid move.
Perfect plan. That's exactly what should happen.
This is a great plan B for everyone whose tribe isn't Tika.
And here we go. Logic's about to go out the window because this is where the train stops.
Also, what Derek called last week.
So Danny goes to tell the Tika, like, hey, here's the plan. We're going to split the votes between Jamie and Lauren. 3 votes Lauren, 2 votes Jamie. It'll be great. Cool.
Which, this is not a good lie, in my opinion, because they are still suspicious of Jamie having an idol. I think it should probably go 3 and 2 if you really want to sell it, and then sell it as Jamie might still have an idol. I'm nitpicking.
I am shocked that was not talked about more here. Like, is everyone just kind of assuming now that Jamie actually was telling the truth, that it's out of the game?
I think they got to assume she would have played it by now because she's been in danger.
Or maybe they're also thinking, Jamie's not going to win the game. We don't really care.
Who cares?
Go play with your idol.
Carolyn doesn't believe Danny. She thinks Danny is planning to get everyone to vote off Carson, which he is.
And she seems to be the only one.
Yep. Danny keeps saying, like, I will just keep it simple. Don't worry about it. And David Bloomberg tweeted out tonight, anyone who tells you that is lying to you. That is exactly right. If people don't want you to talk anymore about strategy, either A, they're dumb and don't really get Survivor, or B, which is what you should assume, they're plotting against you. Turn on them. If someone tells you that, turn on them.
In this case, bit of both.
Yeah.
Because, like I said, in this part of the game, Danny, this is not his strong suit.
Although I don't know, because I did like the way that he handled the conversation, because it would have been very easy for him to basically be like, oh yeah, let's turn on Carson, like, awesome, let's do it. But he recognized that that's what she was trying to do, was get him to admit it.
Well, that comes later, because Carolyn comes back and talks to him again because she's now suspicious. But the first time, he's we're done. We'll split it.
Gotcha.
And we're done. And then later, Carolyn comes back. She's like, I almost feel like Carson's kind of a threat. And Danny's like, I don't think it's the right time. So he plays that part really well. Carolyn still doesn't believe him, but I think that's just because Carolyn doesn't believe anything Danny says.
Yeah, I want to talk about optimal for Danny, because I know that he would never do it, but he has gone with Tika on a couple votes in a row now. If you wanted to sell this lie better to someone like Carolyn, I think you go to Carson and Carolyn and Jam Jam and ask them who they want to vote out. Even if they are targeting Danny, like, if you want to sell the lie better, ask them, who do you want to target? Do you want to split the vote with, like, Lauren and Jamie? I'm rolling with you guys until it's down to Soka and Tika, and my votes prove it.
That is my move on Survivor. I go up to somebody, ask them, who do you think? Who do you want to take out? And based on what they say, I will respond. Obviously, I would have an idea in my head, but I want other people to put the name out first. So yeah. that is I think my number one strategy. Ask people what they're going to do or what they want to do.
And there is something to be said about reading someone after, who do you want to vote out? If they get choked up, it might be you. Mm-hmm. Or you just get them to say a different name, and if they weren't thinking about you, they're less likely to think about you. It's that repetition. It's just, if you repeat something over and over again, you get someone to say it, it starts to stick.
Carson goes to Jamie and Lauren with a plan to split the votes between Danny and Heidi, and apparently this works. This is exactly what's going to happen. It is such an innocuous moment, and it just seemed like Carson was doing something out of desperation. That's exactly what's going to happen. What?
Like, why?
I don't follow remaining Ratu's logic.
Yeah, they say Carson is the bigger threat, but he's more trustworthy than Danny. So?
I mean, like, yeah, that's a great thought process. Like, I don't know, for, like, the merge vote.
Yeah.
We're in the final 7 here. Who cares how trustworthy someone is?
I want to throw out, and believe me, because we didn't get it in the edit, this is tinfoil hat, but I want to try and make some sense of this. We saw Carolyn go and tell Carson about the idol. What if Carolyn wants to make this very big public move against Danny, which is what I've been saying that she needs to do since merge time? Did she go to Ratu and say, here's my idol, vote for Danny, or it might be one of you guys going home? I can't prove it.
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll have to wait until the beginning of next episode. They've been doing that a lot this season. But I would be interested to know if that's why Ratu does not team up with Sokka. I don't know, but it's just I wanted to throw it to the group as a possibility.
I would be pretty surprised if that was the case, because something as big as like an idol and like kind of forcing it that way, I think should be shown. I mean, it depends on what's said, because they don't want to give out who's going home. I will say I'm starting to have some problems with the edit, just because it seems like we're not being shown.
Yeah.
And I know we never get the full story because it's Survivor and 1% of 1%.
Yep.
But I feel like we're missing a lot because of just the way that people are talking about like who might be threats and who aren't threats.
Yeah.
But the edit is giving us way other information, especially since we haven't seen much of anything from the half of the remaining contestants right now.
And hopefully that'll help when we get 90-minute episodes next season.
Maybe.
For the first time ever. Thank goodness for writer strikes.
No, we'll just get more Carolyn confessionals. We'll just double the amount.
Is she going to be back on 45?
Probably, just so they can double up on her.
I will take the opposite side of that argument just for a second, Josh. If withholding one small piece of information for the beginning of the next episode adds some mystery to the vote in Tribal Council, then I am willing to accept that until next week and just postulate until then.
I'm not. I'm with Josh.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine.
I am okay with it too, but I guess that's not necessarily like what I'm thinking of. I'm thinking of like completely like just not telling like 4 people's stories and where they're thinking that big threats are lying.
Yeah, people are underdeveloped this season. Like half the cast that is left, and it's not great.
Yeah, Tika is like fully developed to
It's
the point
Tika and
that
everybody else.
Yeah, we could tell you Tika's life story for each of them, but we don't know almost anybody else left.
Lauren, who are you?
Who is Lauren?
Who are you people?
This is not a dig on you, Lauren. This is
we got a little bit backstory last week from Lauren and a little bit of backstory this week from Heidi, and that's it.
Yeah.
And in the Survivor meta, I know, just to keep it evergreen, Lauren has already tweeted out about her edit one time.
Yeah.
She said, this was the story of us collectively as a group, and mine is just not one of the stories being highlighted. Much love. I'm not worried about it. So good for you, Lauren. That it's kind of a rough deal that you don't end up being like one of the big characters on the season, but
it might make sense in the end. It might.
We'll see.
She'll probably get 4th place.
Might get 4th place. Maybe it loses at fire making or something. Carolyn's got a plan. She asks Jam Jam to vote for Danny, and she tells Carson she has the idol, to like calm him down, I think. And then they talk about who should they target, Danny or Heidi, because they worried Danny might have the idol. Funnily enough, it's the opposite way. Heidi's got the idol, but yeah, that's how we go to Tribal Council, talking about who they should get rid of, Danny or Heidi. At Tribal Council, we got a couple things. So at one point, Carolyn gets mad at everybody. It's very funny, including Jeff. But Jeff is like, Carolyn, it's a good thing that you speak up and speak your mind on Survivor. Sometimes that'll win you the game. No, it's not. Don't ever speak up and speak your mind. Shut up. That's the right way to play Survivor. Jeff is wrong. And now I know what he's doing. He's the producer. He's trying to get, he's intentionally telling the wrong thing to people. It's like, you got to make big moves. He's trying to make better TV. That is not how you play the game. Ignore Jeff.
You can often ignore Jeff. And this is when Jeff is staying within the bounds of just like being an awesome host. Like, just, hey, Jeff, you try to extract good TV. You let them play a good game of Survivor, and then you let them sort it out in the editor's room.
Jeff is an obstacle.
If you're a bad enough contestant on Survivor that you listen to Jeff and do what he says, you probably don't. It probably doesn't make sense for you to win Survivor. Sorry.
It is probably better TV for you to make a massive blunder at Tribal Council.
Absolutely. I get why Jeff is doing what he's doing. Ignore him.
Just get under their skin.
Yep. You could speak up your mind to Jeff about Jeff. That's great. I'm going to do that. That's my plan. I'm trying to annoy Jeff. But don't speak up your mind about any of the other players or your strategy. Keep it secret, keep it safe.
Which is the opposite of what Carolyn seems to do here. She doesn't explicitly say anything, but she is very obviously annoyed.
Yes. By Danny, by Jeff, by Lauren, by everybody.
Yeah, by Jeff.
By everyone not Tika.
So, we're going to go vote. Carolyn goes to the voting booth and takes forever.
It looks like she was doing some kind of like knuckle tarot reading.
She was doing math.
Yeah.
She was doing math to try and figure out the vote split, all that stuff. Josh had a very interesting strategy. Go ahead.
Just because I don't think we've talked about this before. I haven't really thought of it before, but everyone's just kind of like sitting there trying to figure out, what's Carolyn doing? It seems weird. Who knows how long that actually ended up taking for her up there? Could this be a potential way to get someone to play their idol because you spook them?
I like this. I like the idea of someone going to the voting booth and just sitting there for like 10 minutes and just like laughing to themselves. They're not thinking about the vote. They're just trying to make the other players afraid and maybe play something. And then you come back down and just like a showboat a little bit. I like this idea, Josh. This is an interesting thought. I think this, if you're in a position where you're really trying to force someone to play something, maybe you go for this.
You have to know the circumstances and you have to know the cast. If there's someone like a Jamie, and honestly, like if Carolyn wasn't the one doing it, can you imagine like Jamie and Carolyn both just sitting there without immunity around their necks with someone up there just twiddling their thumbs?
Mm-hmm. Someone like Danny just sitting up there.
So this is a really interesting tactic that I think we've only seen someone get checked on once before.
Hannah Shapiro.
Yeah, Hannah Shapiro. Jeff had to go check on her.
Like he like pokes her like, you okay?
Yeah. So we've only seen this edited in now twice. And granted, I haven't seen 26. Has it happened in 26?
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
And I guess that's not necessarily.
I feel like there's another one that was kind of long, but not as comedically long.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think this is something you can do. Maybe just sit there and play a little chess while you wait.
Yeah.
There's a board there. Might as well.
Get one of the producers or the camera guy. Be like, hey, want to play some chess? I'm going to be up here for like 10 minutes.
I'm going to do the Queen's Gambit.
It is an interesting strategy.
Yeah.
I think it could work.
It's a long shot. Like Derek said, it has to be the right scenario with the right people. And you have to know that they have an idol, or some other advantage. It doesn't have to be an idol in this situation, but it could work.
Carolyn is going to play her idol on Carson. Turns out she doesn't need to because he's only going to get 2 votes from Danny and Heidi. So this is a misplay. That's not how it's going to come across in the edit. It seems like a big triumphant moment for Carolyn. That's kind of how they'd show it to us. It's not what happened.
Yeah, the music kind of said that.
Yeah, this did nothing. You wasted an idol. I get it, but like you wasted an idol, technically. So we're going to get 3 votes for Danny. That is from the 3 Tika members. And we're going to get 2 votes for Heidi because Jamie and Lauren went along with this split for some reason. And Danny's going to go home. And this was the wrong move. Vote out Carson. Why not?
I disagree with both of you. I understand that you guys think that this was an idle misplay by Carolyn. It is 100% not an idle misplay by Carolyn. Because Carolyn still has options going forward, but she gets to retain the choice. By taking it down to 3-3 and knowing that you are in the stronger 3, you know that if you want to, you could pick off Heidi, you could pick off Lauren, you could pick off Jamie, and you could make it to the end with your Tika final 3. But, and by the way, you stamped this big move like I forced the Danny vote. Carolyn needed Danny out. She needed to get Danny out. She got him out. And she was like, absolutely not. No one is taking this away from me this time. Even if we throw out like my theory that she wrapped in Ratu beforehand. And again, like I don't want to say like talk like that's truth. Forcing the issue here is fine because Carson's a bigger target than her. Jam Jam's a bigger target than her. What's she going to do? Play the idol on a different Tika member next time around? No. She can go with Heidi and Lauren and Jamie and vote out Carson and Jam Jam now with time to spare, which at this point she needs to do. But number 1 for Carolyn needs to get Danny out, and she got it, and she is not a target next time around. So this was a beautiful idol play in my opinion, and she forced the issue and got what she wanted and has options going forward. So no use saving this if you know you're not going to be a target at Final 5.
So she doesn't know that.
Yes, she does.
No, she doesn't.
Yes, she does.
You can't know that.
If Jam Jam and Carson are on your tribe and you understand why people are talking about them and how people are talking about them, and you go ahead and play that idol for Carson knowing that he is a bigger threat than you, you are aware. She is generally speaking aware, and I would be surprised if Carolyn does not try and turn on Tika this coming week.
I don't know if she will. I really don't think she will. She should.
I don't know, but I love it. I love it from a game perspective. I think this is a good move.
I'm not too bent out of shape about it. It's technically the wrong move. Like by the numbers, by the math, it is the wrong move because it was unnecessary. If you go that route, it's wrong.
And are you talking about the 4 people who should have voted out of Tika? Or are you saying from Carolyn's perspective?
I'm talking about with what happened. She didn't need to play it.
Sure.
But mathematically, she did not need to play it. If
So
she
look
hadn't
at-
played it, Danny still goes home.
So then look at it from a result then.
Like, I'm not done.
Yeah, yep.
So I'm not bent out of shape about it. It was technically unnecessary, but like not a huge deal for her to play this idol here, I don't think. I'm more upset about what the hell Lauren and Jamie are doing. Why did they vote for Heidi? Why? That makes no sense. Heidi and Danny, those four need to stick together. And, keep Carolyn. Carson and Jam Jam have to go. Those two beat everybody else. Jam Jam, then Carson. Why did they turn on Danny and Heidi? It makes no sense. Explain.
I'm going to offer my postulation again. I think that Carolyn wrapped him in and told him about the idol. I can't. That is the only thing. Like Jamie, I can see Jamie being an emotional player and going with the people she likes because she might be like, I'm not winning anyway, so I just want my best friends to win. That's not Heidi. That's not Danny. So I'm going to elevate other people. I can see her doing that. Lauren, I guarantee you, wants to win.
Mm-hmm.
So I can't explain her behavior without there being some information floating around that we weren't shown. And I know we can't use that. So this is tinfoil hat, but yeah. I'm going to leave the tinfoil hat on for now.
I just think there's no reason to even mention it because it wasn't on there. Like you're talking about, what if maybe Carolyn went and showed her idol to Danny? I'd like it's
well,
just
if Carolyn goes and shows her idol to Danny, then they would realign the vote on someone else.
Yeah, I get it. Sometimes we put on tinfoil hats for no reason, but I think we're missing a piece of information. Derek is speculating.
Yes.
Fair, because we're missing something.
Because otherwise, I'm going to do what Ryan did for those of you watching on YouTube. I'm going to throw up my arms and be like, I don't know.
I think we were given the information. I think they just thought that, it was a better idea to go with Carson because he was more trustworthy, which was a terrible decision.
Yeah,
I don't think there was any other information. I mean, maybe it'll come out the very next episode that they saw an idol.
Yeah.
But I think that they just made a bad decision.
They're just that dumb.
That's all it is.
It could be.
Yeah, and I guess since I didn't really get a chance to say, I thought that it was the wrong move, obviously. I thought about this a long time, and I think that if I was in Carolyn's shoes, I would have just not played the idol. I wouldn't have told Carson about the idol, and I would have just hung on to it because no one's targeting you right now. They're probably not going to target you next episode because if Carson goes out, then they'll probably go for Jam Jam next, and then you can play the idol the next tribal. If, for some reason, two people are going to make an idiotic decision and put their votes on someone like Heidi, then great. All three Tika members are here. Danny is out of the game, and you still have your idol. There's three clear people, it seems like, at least from the perception of the players, the way that they're talking, at the top of the game right now. And that's Danny, that's Carson, and that's Jam Jam. All three of those people need to go at one point or another. You might as well just let the cards fall as they will here.
And hold on to the hardware.
And just hold on to the hardware, pick up the pieces, next tribal. Yeah, you don't really get that opportunity of like having a big moment or anything like that. But it didn't work. It didn't work this episode, and you can have that big moment in one or two tribals and reveal your idol then.
I would agree with you more, Josh, if I didn't think that Carolyn needed to genuinely prove herself to not only the existing jury members.
What is she proving?
But future jury members, that she drove the vote and she sent Danny home. Because that's the only way she gets Danny's jury vote and Brandon's jury vote. That's the only way.
Did she drive it?
Yes, 100% she drove the Danny vote. Absolutely.
How?
Well, because she was the one
I thought it was Carson who talked to Lauren.
We saw Carson go and talk to Lauren and Heidi, but Carolyn was the one who ensured that it happened. And she's the one who told Carson.
Yeah, she told Carson about the idol.
No, she told Carson, we need to go for Danny. This is our option. And then she went to Jam Jam. Promise me you're going to vote for Danny this time. And he's like, yes, fine, I promise I'll vote for Danny this time.
I just think it was going to happen either way. I don't know if she necessarily... And maybe I'm just missing something, but I don't think that she really drove it.
I think she did drive this one.
Okay. This is interesting. Is this the first time that we've had a Derek Josh fight where Ryan's just on the sideline?
Maybe.
I'm struggling to think of this. This is really surreal for me. I'm like, there's a fight and I'm not in it. What is going on?
I'll fight with anybody, anytime.
I'm just in a weird space right now because I'm just getting a really bad vibe from like Survivor editors. at this point, and it kind of became obvious today, and just like over the last couple of episodes that I feel like I'm going to be very unsatisfied.
You think Carolyn's going to win?
I think Carolyn's going to win, and I don't think that there's going to be much of a reason why, unless she sits next to two complete duds,
which could still happen.
Which could still happen.
Which she can still do. Because she forced Danny home. I think if Danny stays and Carson goes, Carolyn loses a lot of power. Yes, Jam, Carson, and Danny need to go, but the only way that Carolyn can drive any of that, I think, is if Danny leaves.
I think you're both half right. I think, Derek, you're right on everything except the fact that she didn't need to play it, and I do think she can survive the Carson going home. I think she'll be fine. I think you're both right. I think it'll be fine.
I think Danny could go out this episode, or Carson go out this episode, and then Jam the next, and then whoever's left over, whether it's Danny or Carson from the first time, would just be the next one after that.
I guess to sum it up, Derek, you're right. Carolyn needs to do something, like make a show. I don't necessarily agree that it had to be here, and I think maybe a better one could have happened. I guess to happy medium. She did it. The show makes it seem like this worked for the jury. This really won them over. That's kind of the edit. That's the vibe I got. Does that work? Is that truly what happens? Good for her if that's the case. I don't see it for myself. I think I would do the math and be like, she didn't need to.
If I was a jury member, I would feel more strongly if she would actually turn against her tribe and not take out one of the top people on a tribe that you're disagreeing with. Congratulations!
Well, I mean, they had been working with Soka.
So, final answer is Derek thinks the right person went home?
I mean, I think that because Carolyn played an idol, yes. Okay. If Carolyn doesn't play an idol, the 4 minority members, like Nod and Tika, need to come together and take out Carson.
Okay.
So depends on what light you're looking at.
Optimal move.
Optimal move. Well, optimal move is the right person went home, because for me, optimal move is Carolyn forces the issue. So yes, the right person went home. That said, if Carolyn does not have the idol, then Carson should have left. I will leave it at that.
Danny was the right person to go home. You think it was Carson? Should have been Carson?
Should have been Carson, but it's not a bad thing for Danny to go home because he would have to go home at some point.
Carson should have been the one to go home. So Josh and I think Carson. Derek thinks Danny. What does Twitter think?
Twitter.
I think I'm a member of the rabble rousers community this time around.
Wow, it's almost like there might be groupthink on this broadcast.
I don't groupthink with Twitter ever.
True.
That's true.
When I see that I'm on Twitter's side, I have to stop and really think if what I'm saying makes sense. And the only way I can reconcile is that for 3 people, this was the right move. It just happens to one of them had an idol.
Yep. And yeah, according to Twitter, a whopping 82% said that yes, the right person got voted out tonight.
So Derek's with Twitter, Josh and I are not. Twitter's wrong.
Yeah, and we did get a couple of replies to the poll as well. Brandon Strait basically said if unless you're on Tika, this was not the optimal outcome.
I agree.
Agree minus Carolyn.
Agree minus Carolyn, I think. I think that's where I land. Let's get into best and worst player of the episode. Josh, why don't you start us off? Give us the best player of the episode. And as a reminder, the person who gets voted out can't win either award, because I think Danny could have been in the running for best player of the episode, actually.
He was doing pretty good. I'm going to reluctantly give it to Jam here. I don't like it. I think it either has to be either him or Carson, but Carson just didn't, outside of having one conversation, he didn't really do a whole lot this episode. And it just seems super minor. Jam, he won immunity. You know, from Derek's perspective, he thinks that he handled the conversation with Carolyn the best at the beginning of the episode. So I guess I agree with that's on his side as well. And then he's still around, and his full alliance is still around. So I'm gonna give it to him.
I agree. Even probably a little stronger. I did consider Carson just because he turns out he was the one that seemed to organize that split at the end, and somehow worked. But I think they both did a good job of handling Carolyn. And then Jam won immunity. He saved himself. It seems like he would have been the one going home. He saves himself. I'm going to give it to Jam.
From my perspective, and we've already litigated this pretty heavily, so just accept my opinion for what it is. It's Carolyn. Because she drove the Danny vote. She ensured that Tika makes it to the final 6 as a strong grouping of 3 by playing that idol, and now has a ton of options going forward, not only to stick with her original alliance if she feels like she can win the jury, and that's for her to know, or what I believe to be the optimal move, to turn on Carson and Jam now with a remaining group of women and form a women's alliance and go to the end. And I think, not to, we'll see if Carolyn is still on my cannot win the game list. But my big one for Carolyn is she took out Danny. She can't win if she doesn't take out Danny or Brandon. So she did it.
Worst player, it's Jamie and Lauren, because that was such a terrible move for them to not try and take out Carson. How do you differentiate between them? We're splitting hairs. I'm going to give mine to Jamie for one reason, and that's because Lauren did so badly in the immunity challenge, she may have lowered her threat level, because we saw that happen to Sabrina in Survivor 1 World, where she did terrible at a challenge, and everybody's like, maybe she's not that big of a threat, because people were saying Lauren's name earlier. Danny and Lauren were the two names that were coming up before the challenge from the Tika members, and just maybe Lauren lowered her threat level a little bit by just being really bad at that first challenge. So, splitting hairs, I'm going to give it to Jamie. Derek?
I did land on Lauren, and it's mostly because I expect more from her than from Jamie. I feel like they're equally bad on this, because how about this? Whether or not Carolyn showed her idol, you need to take the shot at Carson anyway. So not working with Danny and Heidi to at least try to vote out Carson and force the issue and force Tika to be the only ones on the right side of a vote and potentially face an idled up situation on their own was a bad move. I expect more from Lauren, and so it's Lauren.
They could just tell her to go along with it. Just place the idol on Carson. Boom, Danny or Heidi goes home.
Yeah.
Because if you just tell them, like, yeah, we're with you. You could have got for this. You could have.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's why it would have been a risk-free move to basically say, yeah, we need to get Tika out. And if that doesn't happen, you guys weren't on the chopping block anyway. You knew it was Danny.
Josh?
I'm giving it to Carolyn.
Mm-hmm. I saw this one coming.
Yep.
Three-way split.
From Jamie and Lauren's perspectives, they can't beat Danny, so yeah, it's not a great move. I'm not going to say that it was a good move on their part to vote the way that they did. I think that they still voted incorrectly. I just think this was a blunder on Carolyn's part. I think that now could have been a really good time to just kind of let the vote happen, keep your idol, and then make your big statement and move on Tika later. If you really did already know that the votes were going to be going towards Danny, that's even worse. But I just don't like how this was handled, and I don't think there's any reason to consider it a big move.
So you're giving it to Carolyn even though she was on the right side of the vote?
Yep.
Interesting. All right.
Just because, now I'm not saying either way on this, but just because you're on the right side of the vote doesn't mean it was a good move.
I understand that.
Okay.
I understand that.
All right, let's get into who is going next. We're down to the final 6. Someone's getting voted out at the final 6. Obviously. Derek, who's going next?
I think this is where it turns into what will Carolyn do?
WWCD.
Because I think if Carolyn wants, she can organize a women's alliance and they can target, like, let's say Carson wins immunity because it's a puzzle. Target Jam Jam. Let's say Jam Jam wins immunity because it's last gasp again. Target Carson. Send him home. I don't think that Carolyn is going to make the right move, actually. I go back and forth thinking about this, and she's in a good spot. She has options. I think she's going to take the wrong option, and I think she's going to vote out Lauren.
Okay.
I think Lauren will go home here.
Josh?
I also said Lauren. I don't know how it's going to happen. No idea. You could have a weird 3-2-1 split. You could have someone who just forgets to vote somehow. But I'm going with Lauren.
I'm also going with Lauren. With a 3-2-1 split, I think will happen. I think Tika will vote for Lauren, and I think that will manipulate Lauren and Jamie and then Heidi into going after each other because they are very bad players.
Yeah, I've been very confused at Heidi's voting here recently, so I could definitely see people not being on the same page.
And Heidi's got an idol, so that's why I don't really consider her. So I think they consider Lauren to be the biggest threat of those three, so I think Lauren will go next. Yeah. So let's get into who can't win. Josh, 2 people cannot win this game. Who are they?
Same 2 people that I've said the last, I think, 4 podcasts, and that's Heidi and Jamie.
Okay. Last time I had Jamie and Danny. Obviously, Danny's out of the game, so I have to switch. This isn't just me being completely erratic.
No, that means you were correct.
And you're getting rid of Jamie, right?
Jamie is staying on the board. Jamie's staying. I'm going to agree with Josh. I think Heidi can no longer win the game.
Well, with Carolyn forcing the issue and voting out Danny, she has officially done enough to get off of my crap list. If Carolyn goes to the end with Heidi and Jamie, I think she wins. And by voting out Lauren next week, she keeps her hopes alive to do that. And again, this is all just my assumptions trying to work together cohesively. And when does
That's
that...
all this podcast is. I mean.
when does that ever happen? So point being, Heidi and Jamie. And Carolyn is off the list.
Okay. We all think it's Heidi and Jamie.
It feels so good that I was on this page first.
Good for you. Ready to get Gablered, and we're going to get a Jamie win?
Nope. I will quit watching Survivor if Jamie wins. You heard it here, folks.
Yeah,
first.
with all 4 confessionals all season long, and one of them is all about just like yoga.
One's about yoga, the other 3 are about how happy she was to have an idol that wasn't real.
Yeah.
The other, and all 4 make me want to tear my ears off.
And then I guess there were 4 confessionals last episode when she lost her idol and everyone didn't believe her.
It was really funny. All right, Derek, I'm going to turn your mic off because we have to check on the Survivor pool. Josh and I are still alive because we did the reset. I had Carolyn. You had Heidi, I believe.
Yes. Yep.
Okay. So of everyone left, we got to pick someone to survive the final 6, and then we're at the finale.
And we might have the same scenario as we did last season.
Yeah, this is really eerie. I'm going to pick the person who's got an idol, and I'm going to go with Heidi.
I figure you're gonna, which makes it very interesting if we survive this next week, because I'm going with the person that you picked last time, and I'm going Carolyn.
Oh, a little switchy switch.
Yep.
All right.
So now we've both used Heidi and Carolyn. So if neither of those 2 go home this next week, we're going to be going into the finale with just free rolling basically, and everyone who's left.
Yep. That'll be interesting. All right. One last thing we have to do tonight. Special topic. Josh, you've lost your winner pick.
Yep, that I have.
So you have to pick a new winner pick of the final 6. Because just to check in, Derek, was your original Jam Jam?
My original is Jam Jam.
Wow.
My original was Helen, and I switched to Jam Jam. And your original was also Helen, I believe. Then you switched to Claire.
Yeah.
And then I think you switched to Danny. Yeah.
So I'm on my 4th person
Yes.
here. Not a great showing.
The real losers here.
And, I've disagreed a lot with Derek tonight. But I will say, I think it was somewhere, when I made my Danny pick, I don't remember exactly the number that you threw out there, but you're like, that is a stupid move. There's no way he wins this game. He's going to be voted out 7th.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure those were like basically your exact words.
I don't know if that's exactly the placement that you said, but you said something around that.
I'm like, he's like the perfect 7th boot. I think he said 7th.
And Ryan and I were both roasting you a little bit for that one.
It's true.
But I feel like I remember saying that.
And I did go into picking Danny, knowing that this was very well going to be a possibility. But it was also
the win.
But it was either that or a win.
Swinging for the fences.
And I swung and missed. So, new winner pick. I'm following the edit. Carolyn's winning.
Oh, all right. I didn't see that coming. I thought you were going to hop on the Jam tram with your homeboy.
I thought that once you mentioned that Danny, because after the episode you mentioned like I lost my winner pick. I'm like, oh, okay, he's probably going to jump on the Jam train. And as we went along, I'm like, he might pick Carolyn.
It's slam dunk going to be someone on Tika.
Yeah, I think so.
And if it's not Carolyn, I think it's going to be Jam. And I've thought that he's been a better player than what, especially you, Ryan, I've led on by putting him into your bottom 2 people who can't win. At one point here.
Yes. Look, his edit is more negative than his persona on the island, which is crazy.
What?
I think so. I think his
for like a 2-episode stretch was. And that's it.
Yes. What do you want from me?
The king of overreacting, Ryan Stacy.
Yeah. He's got no response.
I got nothing.
He is dumbfounded.
I don't know what you want from me.
But
to be better.
Basically, I've come to this realization that the editors suck.
Yeah.
The editors really suck, and they've messed up the last few seasons with who the winner picks are. They are way overcorrecting this season, and even like today, there were so many times where Carolyn is just talking in confessionals, in big social moments, strategically, even when it doesn't work out. And like the strategic side, like that makes sense and everything. But do you really need to throw in a thing about her finding a lobster shell while
She's a mermaid, Josh.
While you have all of these other confessionals from her. No, give us a little bit of Lauren. Yeah. Lauren has a great story. Give us a little bit more of literally anyone else on the tribe. We have so much Carolyn here.
I'm inclined to agree with Josh on this one. I would like a little bit less Carolyn being a mermaid and a little bit more of people who aren't getting at it. Yeah, I do agree with you.
And I love this. I love the random social stuff that you can fit into the episode. Just give us other people doing those things.
Maybe they didn't do anything.
Maybe they're all just laying down on the beach doing literally nothing.
That's possible.
All the time.
That is possible.
It's possible. And then the cherry on the top was what Ryan said earlier, where they tried to make this idol play into a big positive climactic moment for Carolyn this episode, when I don't think it was. And so even though I think that she was the worst player of the this episode, I think that those are all things that are just showing that she's going to somehow pull this off in the end and win.
I could see it.
And unless she's sitting next to, Jamie and Heidi, and I mean, maybe even Lauren at this point, I don't really know. If she's sitting next to either Carson or Jam, I'd be pretty upset if she ended up winning, because then I have no idea what's going on.
So segues are weird, but I wanted to mention this podcast, and you're complaining about the edit being a little overt right now, pretty obvious.
Only if it's right.
Right. But just complaining about the edit. I want to make a prediction, and I want to seal it now.
Okay.
I think Carson loses fire making.
I think so too. I was just thinking about that.
Because you can't 3D print a fire.
No, because 5 times this season, they've just shown Carson staring solemnly into the fire and catching the reflection off the glasses. They did the slow-mo cam on him last episode. Carson, there's nothing I have to support this other than they've done this 5 times
I
this
agree
season.
with you. I fully agree with you.
I don't know how we get there. I don't know how it happens, but just because the edit has been wonky, this feels like something that a young editor would do. And it look, this adds a lot of value to a rewatch of the season. And even if we tried all of these experimental things, we have this one through line leading to this moment, which is the glorious downfall of one of our biggest heroes of the season, our easy to root for guy. So that's my prediction.
I could see it.
I think Josh is right. I think the final 3 is going to be Carolyn, Jamie, Heidi. I think that's the final 3.
And I think you can swap Lauren in there as well.
I think she's going next. So
I know. I'm just saying because I don't think Carolyn should be able to beat either Carson or Jam. But I do think at this point she probably could beat the rest of them. It's kind of a toss up with her and Lauren.
It'd be a fight.
Yeah.
I think it'd be a fight with Lauren.
But I think she could pull it off.
So here's my. I know we don't normally do this to the finale. Here's how it's going to happen. Lauren's going out 6. Jam's going out 5. Carson's going out 4. Fire making. Carolyn wins the season over Heidi and Jamie.
Heidi might get 1 vote or something.
Yeah, maybe from Danny or something. And that's the game. Carolyn is the winner of Survivor 44. I think that's where we're at.
Book it now.
And this is just our mindless and guideless speculation. We don't have any connections in production. If we did, I would have been cast already.
Yeah.
And I mean, we've made wild predictions before, but I actually feel pretty strong. I don't know strongly, but kind of semi-confident about this.
To be fair, I felt pretty semi-confident about Owen winning last season.
Well, that was just dumb.
And you thought Cassidy, sir.
Hey, she got second.
Yeah, by 1 pity vote.
Still second.
Let's get into some social media. Someone give that out.
Yeah, you can follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Castaway Pod. TikTok, YouTube, Facebook is Castaway Consultants. We have a website you can go visit. Go follow us on Spotify, Apple, any of that stuff that you have, and leave us some very, very nice reviews because we deserve it.
It's true. All right, this has been the Castaway Consultants.
Got nothing else for you.
Good night.